next 35 minutes, we're going to have a Pinnacle Q&A, where you get to ask all the burning questions on what's going to be up with Pinnacle Entertainment in the next year.
Okay, so I'm just going to quickly say a couple of things about some of the stuff that's coming out, and then we'll just do questions, and then we'll play our games, okay? So I mostly want to know what you guys want to know about. So our next Kickstarter is Deadlands: The Weird West. It's actually been out of print for 2 years. So we had Deadwood, which was the really great critical role thing they did, right? We didn't have any books to sell. We had all kinds of cool stuff happen for Deadlands in the last 2 years, and we've had no books for people to buy. So all these new faces wanted to buy, and all they could buy was PDFs. So we're very happy to get that back in print. We just released Lost Colony, of course, on Kickstarter. That's at the printer now. Rifts is arriving in May. Actually, I swear to God, this isn't some lame publisher excuse. Our publisher told us the coronavirus has kept everybody from coming back home from Chinese New Year. So it's going to hold things up in another couple of weeks. There we are. Pardon? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you know, you got to live with this stuff. After that, we actually are very lucky, besides the incredible staff that we already have. There's only 3 of us who are full-time. Everybody else is a contractor, a freelancer, who works other jobs, etc. Jodi works full-time with us mostly. She also does Carolina Game Papers, of course. Simon Lucas is our buddy back in Arizona, where we're from now. He handles most of the boring production crap you don't want to know about. One of the freelancers we work with frequently, of course, is Cheyenne, Wright. Who not only has done the original 50 Fathoms with me, ours 50 Fathom, and just tons of art from all of our games. Cheyenne, of course, also does all of our Kickstarter videos, which I just think are amazing and incredible. And every time we get them, we're just like, oh my God, this is so cool, I want to back it. So we're very blessed to have people like that working with us. So a couple of years ago, I ran into this guy, Darrell Hayhurst, at Genghis Khan, I believe, even though he actually lives down halfway. And Darrell's run 3 50 Fathoms campaigns, and actually just wrote a brand new adventure for 50 Fathoms that was released while we were all here. So if you're interested in it, it's our new 32-pager PDF and print. But Darrell is actually going to come join the staff because Shane is overworked and needs a lot of help. So Darrell is actually going to start on the Superpowers companion. We already have Sean Robertson, who does the Rift stuff, working on the SciFi companion. Pretty quick. I don't have a date yet, but they're kind of next in the queue after Deadlands. Fantasy and horror will then come out together. I'm working on the fantasy one. It's going to be a complete overhaul. Horror is really pretty much the same, cleaned up for Suede, of course, and it's going to get some of the ETU ritual stuff we learned from that game pulled over into it, so we'll make it more fun. So, you know, the best part about ETU and the rituals is they make their own adventure, right? You can just say, well, you need a ritual to open a door, right? And then you got to roll on the tables and find all this crazy stuff and run around town and get in trouble with the police. So, it's just one of the most fun things in our games. I just pull that to horror campaigns. The other Deadlands settings, Deadlands Noir, Deadlands Ho, and Hell on Earth, will come out in the next couple of years, probably by 2021. We just can't get that much stuff out so quick. Kickstarter slots are kind of one of our problems. We're going to be moving to Kickstarter for our big projects and then follow-up books, like we have an ETU study abroad book coming. Super cool. And you get to go to other places and mess with their monsters, get eaten by their monsters. And what we're going to wind up doing, so we really need your help, right, to get the word out and help, because it's going to be a new platform, which means it's a big challenge for us moving off of Kickstarter. But we just can't do that many Kickstarters on Kickstarter because of the way their rules work and so on. So we'll be moving like Study Abroad. There's a book for Lost Colony in the works. Darrell is actually working on Necessary Evil 3.
Yeah!
Clint Black's creation. This one is a cosmic one. We're actually playing it right now. We're playing the campaign and testing it. So if you follow me on my personal Facebook, every other Wednesday you'll see me post about it. Every other Wednesday is secret. What else? Oh, the other platform. We're not sure. It might be Game On Tabletop. Those are actually our French translators started their own crowdfunding platform. And Ulysses, who Darrell also works for, uses it pretty much exclusively, except for their big release that was on Kickstarter. So it'll either be Game On or maybe Indiegogo. We're not sure yet. Our real decision will probably be based on which one integrates with our shipping software best. And what we're trying to do is, let's say you really want this 50 Fathoms adventure, but you don't want to pay the shipping on it, right? You wait till our next crowdfunding project, you buy Lost Colony or Deadlands or whatever, and then you'll see all the stuff we've released in the last year on there, and then you go click, 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 and add it in there, and there's your shipping, right? It'll cost you a thing of shipping. So that's kind of one of our goals. Honestly, the most challenging part of our job these days is not making sure that the superpowers work correctly, or the magical powers are balanced, or support and test rules work correctly. It's shipping. There's just nothing worse than shipping. Nobody's ever going to be happy with it. Ask Guy over in the UK. It's terrible, right? We don't have subsidized shipping like the EU does or England does. We pay whatever the rate is. We get a little bit of a discount through our fulfillment center, but not much. And you can go to, most people here are domestics, it's not a big problem, but if you go to USPS or UPS.com and look at the shipment rates to do something yourself, you'll see why it takes us $60 to ship a book to Germany. There's really no way around it. Okay, all right, boring stuff over. Anything else? We got a question.
Can I just say what a horrible idea it is to have a Q&A just after all the free
Best idea ever.
I may have
Hey, what do you really think?
well, I think I've had a great time. I really have. One of the best things about the job is, the groupies and the money and the cocaine. Next to that is, 99.9% of the people in the audience persona of the people that I meet are awesome, and I would love to play with you in like groups at home. I don't know what it is about the Savage Worlds community or something like that. That moderated the forums for years and set a great tone there. I think was a part of it. But I used to freelance for a ton of other companies, and I would happily tell you, or not happily tell you, they are not all like this. Okay. So whatever our community is, whatever is shaped, it's because of you, and it makes my life and all of our jobs so much more pleasant, happy, and enjoy to be a part of. So thank you. Welcome around. Okay, question. What do we got? What do you want to know?
How did Benny tokens get standardized on the poker chips?
So it came from the original Deadlands. Where,
Restate the question.
Oh, sorry. How did Benny tokens get standardized into poker chips? So in the original Deadlands Classic, it had a very heavy poker feel and mechanic. Hucksters always drew for their hands as poker hands, and what we called vape chips at the time were, now Benny's, were put on poker chips because it fit the feel and everything else. We got into a little bit of trouble with our English friends because poker chips are evidently hard to get over there.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knew, right? I was 20-something years old, and I thought everybody in the world had poker chips like I did. And Bennies, in case you didn't know, is short for benefits, right? But it seemed like an appropriate term for kind of a generic across all cosmos kind of term. And now we own the term. We've trademarked it. Yeah.
Any plans to update 50 Fathoms to Suede anytime soon?
So we put out the free conversion, right?
Restate the question.
You have to restate the question as an answer.
Yes, there is a plan to update 50 Fathoms to the Suede rules. It is probably at least 2 years off. Yeah. Like I said, 2 3/4 full-time employees. Yeah. Yes.
I'll go even further down your priority list. Space 1889.
Probably. So the question was.
This one kind of falls into my ballpark. Ulysses Spiel, they are the ones that have the Space 1889 license now. I work for Ulysses Spiel, and it turns out that's actually my primary game concern, is bringing Space 1889 back in a new form. I will say I'm a big fan of Red Sands, and there's gonna be continuity between what happened in Red Sands and what we're doing in the Ulysses Space 1889. You know I'm a big fan of Savage Worlds. I love writing for it. I love working in it. The system we're looking at right now is not Savage Worlds, but it's going to be fun, and it's going to be in that same kind of feeling that you get.
We have a really interesting relationship with Ulysses Spiel. So if you see strange posts from time to time on Facebook, I'll quickly explain it. So about 5 years ago or so, Marcus Plutz, who owns Ulysses Spiel, came up and he said he would like me to write the new version of Torg for him, which is kind of the RPG that I really made my bones in the industry. And I said no, I couldn't do it. I was too full up, but man, I really wanted to. He came back again the next year, and I really didn't have time either, but I did it anyway. And that's where I met Darrell, and we did tour together. And then Marcus wound up hiring Darrell full time. I kind of stole him away part time. We have a really, like I said, it's a great friendly agreement. So our two game companies, though we compete, in the marketplace, we're really good friends. We help each other out a lot. I went to their tribe days where they all get together in a big environment, and they all in German, but they did it in English just for us. Discuss all the company problems and how they're solving them and stuff like that. So, it's a small industry. Most of us are friends.
Well, and it turns out Ulysses just loves Savage Worlds in general, so it's not a hard sell. And I'm like, I want to go do Savage stuff. Like, it's what I love too. So,
What else? Chris?
Two questions. One, do you want to share a little bit about how this next Deadlands is going to be different than the last generation?
Sure.
And for Clint and Jodi, what conventions are we going to see your lovely faces at the rest of the year?
So the question is, what's new with the new version of Deadlands? And then Clint and Jodi are going to answer what conventions. I don't do a whole lot of conventions anymore, but Clint and Jodi do most all of them. So when Deadlands began, the emphasis was really on small town local horror. That was the playtest that I ran in my basement of my house back in 1994, I think, when I first started doing it. And then as we created the world and things took off far greater than we ever thought they would, we got into this big meta plot stuff, right? Which has turned out great. I love what we did with the plot point campaigns, the Flood, the Last Sons, and it... Stone in a Hard Place. Stone in a Hard Place and Good Intentions. I think those are fantastic. And man, they will provide you with good long campaigns, right? But now with the new set, those things will happen in a few books here and there, like new hardback books that will come out for it. But we're doing something, we called it the county box. So the idea, and this is the thing we're still waiting on some quotes for, so if it doesn't happen, well, that's unfortunate, but I think it will. So it's a box set. You guys remember the kind of thinner TSR box sets from the 80s? Like the Academe stuff or whatever? It's kind of like that. So it's got a county map in it, it's got a couple of booklets in it, and what's cool is that county map, when you spread it out on the table, and the players look at it, and there's some stuff marked on there by the Twilight Legion, which is who's leading you around. And it might say, something's up at Old Man Jenkins' place, right? And the posse can sit there and go, oh, let's go check that out, and you go check it out. And then eventually you kind of learn that it's a mini plot point campaign. There's a fear monger in the area, and as you go around and you solve these different things, it will lower the fear level in that county. So you'll get to know the town sheriff and the mayor. You may even run for these positions yourself. It'll be much more Western, really, right? And we'll do those in different locations, assuming this works well. And I think it's going to be a really cool thing to add to it. Then the big books, like a new City of Gloom book, is something we'll need to do eventually, right? That'll be like a traditional hardback, and it'll have all the stuff in it. But the county boxes are the thing I'm pretty excited about. And the first one I think is called The Horror of Headstone Hill. So they'll be kind of pulpy feeling, big crazy Western font across the top. The graphic design stuff that we've been playing around with so far, pretty exciting. So that's why it's different. Of course, some of the rules have been cleaned up, dueling, gambling, pretty close to what they were, but a little faster, more streamlined. Clint and Jodi.
Okay, so, those of you who know that I know nothing about what we're doing will know that Jodi just gave me the information. So, currently we're on the Savage Cruise. But the next thing on our list is actually going to be something brand new for both of us that we were asked to attend, which is C2E2 in Chicago. They are doing a big push for tabletop there, apparently, and they asked us to come up and join them as Carolina Game Tables, but of course we'll be representing Savage Rules as well for anybody in the Chicago
Chi-town area. There you
Chi-town
go.
area, right. After that, it's a return near to here with ChupacabraCon. 1st of May. Then we hit
Austin, Texas. You want to see it? And you
Yes.
should. If you
Yeah.
don't know ChupacabraCon, you need to know that.
Yeah, if you don't know Chupa, you should go to Chupa. It is an awesome little con, the great Savage presence, and as I was recently informed by a Facebook message of, what are you running for the charity game? I guess I'm running the charity game this year.
Surprise!
Yay!
We got 2 months to figure it out.
So the charity game was a real highlight of ChupacabraCon. So one of us usually gets up there if you haven't heard about it, and there'll be a panel of some of us playing, plus a couple of guest players who join us, and then the audience does audience participation. So they can like pay a buck to spend a penny for a player, or usually against the players, and all that goes to charity, of course, right? And we usually bring like big dice you can roll and fun stuff like that. It's pretty wild, pretty raucous, and Clint has done an excellent job in the past, as has Ed Wetterman. Probably the most famous is Chickens in the Mist, which is Max in here? No, really one big cock joke. So.
No.
Big cock or little cock?
Well, there's all kinds.
Strains of guns.
We're also doing, in the first part of June, Con Carolinas in Charlotte. Then later in June, Origins, Columbus. And then into July, 1st of August, is a little convention called Gen Con. Might be familiar with it. Yeah. And then in the first part of September, the weekend of September, is Dragon Con in Atlanta. So we'll be there. Followed by November for Mace in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we talk about Mace all the time, guys, and you know it, but Mace is purely a gaming convention. That is all that it is. You do not have a costume contest, you don't have anime, you don't have anything else. Show up. And you guys do a great job bringing a bunch of different games together. I know Shane came one year just for the opportunity to play a bunch of games they didn't normally get to play. So they do a great job for that. And then near the end of November is going to be PAX Unplugged in Philly. Those of you who may not know, the guys that do PAX now have Unplugged, which is purely a tabletop convention in Philly. That's all it is. It's just tabletop. And we've been going since the first year they had it, and it's a great con. And the nice thing about it is, it tends to be a bunch of people that didn't know a lot about tabletop and are really hungry to find out about it. It's bringing a lot of new people and a lot of good people into the hobby.
And at PAX Unplugged, the Delaware Valley Savages have run Savage Saturday Night this past year. That went great. I think we had about 10 tables of GMs, which is kind of hard to do at an event like PAX just because of their scheduling system. So kudos to them for pulling that off. And if you guys ever want to travel to any of these other places in the world, because obviously here on the Savage Cruise we're all about travel, that's a good one we can recommend if you guys.
Did anybody come from any farther away than Guy from the UK?
Rochester, New York count?
Pardon?
Rochester, New York count?
No, I
How about
think
Wisconsin?
so. I think this is Guy's first cruise,
Minnesota and Wisconsin.
first trip to the U.S., first convention.
Yeah.
Say, I know you probably can't hear it, but I've just been overwhelmed by the support and the friendliness and the whole atmosphere of this. I'm bowled over. I love you guys. It's been fantastic. You know
How hard it is for a Brit to say I love you guys.
That's true. That's his allotment for his life.
So one thing that amazed me about this convention here at this floating con on the seas is we've had some people here who have never played Savage Worlds before they came on this con. I want you to hold those hands up. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And we're kind of glad you stuck around.
Where else could they go?
Fantastic. Okay. Okay, any other questions? We're getting pretty close here. Yeah.
Any plans to update the test drive rules?
Any
And
plans to
two,
update the test drive?
yeah, and two, Cheyenne, you did lots of custom character sheets in the past. Any plans to continue doing that forward?
Any plans to do custom character sheets?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you ever seen I have a whole old Google Blogs site called Cheyenne Savage Sheets, where I put up everything that I do. A lot of that stuff is just stuff I do for my own games, but I figured there's some copyright issues. I can't release it through Pinnacle. And I make my own Firefly character sheets or something like that. So I put it up there, and whenever I come up with something new, I try to go.
Of course, nobody knows what question you're asking.
I said it. I
We did.
He restated the question.
Hey, whatever. I may have had some wrong things. And the other question was,
Test drive.
Update them for swing.
when are we updating the test drive to swing? Yes, we will do so. I have just been swamped. Getting Darrell on board to help and some other people that we've added, reorganization we've done, hopefully will help us do that. It'll just be PDF to start, and then we'll see if we can print it and maybe send it out to cons and stuff, because that's what we really like.
It's a huge tool for bringing in new players to it, and I can print it out and just hand it to them, and they have effectively 90% of the basic rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that I do have plans to finally get around to updating my old training rules character sheet for Suede.
Yes.
And I'll be doing that sometime soon. Yes.
Do I see a hand there, Laura? She's waiting.
In the meantime, on that Longmar test drive that we had out for Deluxe, you can use this Longmar conversion. I've had people tell me that they did that. It's just like a one-page update that you can print out for Suite, and it helps you update your test drive. So, I mean, I know it's not the perfect solution. We're updating it, but until then, that'll work.
Yep, we'll get there. Okay, let's go about 2-3 more minutes, and then let our GM set up. By the way, one more. I know this gets kind of old sometimes, but man, it's really important and it's worth it. All you GMs who ran games and hauled all your props, Eric and Carl. Man, I mean, the games were just incredible, and I just can't believe the props you guys have. I mean, Carl always has an impressive spread. Cheyenne stuff is amazing. Eric,
no, he's not that good.
Water. We were on a ship. He sprayed me with water.
That wasn't water.
Okay. Anything else? A couple minutes.
Any more weird wars settings? There was Rome.
Any more weird wars?
Yeah.
Any more weird war settings?
Civil War would be nice. Mongol invasion of Japan.
Yeah, I feel like we've done the Civil War.
Yeah.
It is near and dear to my heart. I'm a grognard. That's how I really started in gaming. Was Fields of Honor was actually the first Pinnacle product.
Tour of Darkness.
Yeah, Tour of Darkness is great. Yes, there will be. We're kind of figuring out what to do with, since we've got so many of them now. Is there a better way to re-release them or what? So, yes, don't know what the answer is yet. I have played in a couple of, I wouldn't really call them play tests, really more of a, we just wanted to do it and kind of get the flavor of it, like Savage Napoleon and Savage Crusades is pretty cool. So yeah, that stuff, Crusades especially, it can be a little touchy sometimes, but our take on the setting is there's this hellhole, and both the Crusaders and the Saracens have to go and close it, so there's all kinds of cool stuff like that you can do it. So yes, it will definitely happen. It's probably going to be a while.
Okay, thank you.
I know Savage Rifts, the next expansion, hasn't even gotten to us. I'm very sad to hear about May. Is there plans for a follow-on?
Yep.
I know that the price, like the amount of money from the first to the second, was almost in half, but I mean, is there still interest?
Oh yeah, well, and it's a reprint, right? Savage Rifts is doing great, and Atlantis is next.
Okay.
That's what's next. That guy, the same guy that Sean Robertson is doing SciFi Companion, he's also doing a Savage Worlds vehicle kit. So that'll be out in PDF. I don't know if we'll print it or not. I have to see what size it is. But for all of you who are creating your own settings or just playing in your own games, it's kind of a nuts to bolts. Here's how to make vehicles in Savage Worlds. and scales to compare the two.
TW and Tech.
Yes. Yes.
Good luck,
Daniel?
Yeah.
Is there plans to expand the miniature collection for Savage Worlds?
Well, you guys don't buy enough miniatures. It's we usually do kind of like the core set for like Fear Agent or the Goon or something, right? And those do okay because they have a collectible market beyond the RPG for people who like those comics. Those are fantastic comics, by the way. 6 gun as well. So we like them. We will do some more. We have some other plans we're working on, so hang tight on that one. The question was, are we going to do more miniatures?
Partnering with other companies for miniatures?
Well, as you know, Reapers does the Deadlands ones, right? We do kind of a mix. Bronze Age does the ones that we commission. Reaper does their Deadlands ones. Though I think that's probably coming to an end. I mean, they'll keep making the ones they have. I don't know if we'll do the new ones through them or do our own thing or what. We're still looking into that. Miniatures are tricky. If you have a miniatures game to drive it, then they're really big, right? But if it's an RPG, not so much.
I had a lot of fun doing these disco vampires for my River 76 game this week. And I plan on doing more of that sort of stuff, just kind of weird mythical figures that for Savage Worlds games that don't really have them already.
And if you haven't seen his Disco Vampires, you really
They're
know.
phenomenal.
And then we can also plug Arcanic. They do the flat plastic miniatures.
Right.
They have Deadlands and maybe a few other. They've got some great miniatures out there. And they're easy to store.
I think Chris used some in his game.
And in fact, if Shane and I ask you to do more figure flats, I'm going to kind of start doing this so that I can get to draw the back.
Okay. Problem with Cheyenne is he also colors Girl Genius, the comic, if you haven't seen it. It's actually a... You have to applaud him because he's actually a 3-time Hugo Award-winning colorist. Okay, one more and then I'm going to turn it over to Chris because I think he's got some giveaways. Anything else? Okay, going to Chris. Man, I thought you guys would have some really weird personal stuff. I've been drinking rum for like the last... How many? I was yours! How